Turned off by the strange quirkiness of Godzilla vs. Hedorah, Toho and producer Tomoyuki Tanaka were determined to get the Godzilla series back on track. The experimental phase, as brief as it was over. Budgets were reduced even further, Jun Fukuda was brought back to direct, and it was decided that King Ghidorah would return once again, all in an effort to make the franchise more marketable. But Ghidorah would not be alone, nor would Godzilla, resulting in the tag team monster brawl that is Godzilla vs. Gigan. Down on his luck manga artist Gengo is hired to do conceptual work for World Children's Land, an amusement park based around Earth's monsters. Upon running into a woman looking for a brother, Gengo and his friends discover the park is a front for extraterrestrial cockroaches who plan on conquering the Earth with the help of King Ghidorah and their own monster, the cyborg Gigan. With the Earth in danger once again, Godzilla and Anguirus leave their home on Monster Island and head for Japan to fight for their planet. As the Japanese film industry was in shambles at the time, Godzilla vs. Gigan is as cheap as they come, with copious amounts of stock footage from Toho's vast backlog of titles used to fill out the special effects sequences. This includes the score, which is entirely composed of old Akira Ifukube tracks. The monsters themselves are also reused, holdovers from prior films, and you can tell, especially in the case of Godzilla and Ghidorah. Even the story is reused, utterly unoriginal and relying on the tried and true formula that had worked in the past. This is to say that Godzilla vs. Gigan, as opposed to its immediate predecessor, plays it as safe and as cheap as it can. And yet the film strangely works on many levels despite these glaring faults. Despite yet another alien invasion plot, the alien cockroaches, who hail from the space hunter Nebula M, are significantly more interesting than the Kilaaks were in Destroy All Monsters, and their plot, while kind of nonsensical, generates a nice bit of intrigue for the characters to stick their noses in. And speaking of the characters, they are quite entertaining here, quirky and funny in a way that makes it easy to get invested in them. Gengo in particular, played by Hiroshi Ishikawa, is a rather unique protagonist whose profession makes him very relatable. The other standout is Tomoko, played by the striking Yuriko Hishimi, Gengo's no-nonsense girlfriend who can kick butt better than any of the men can.
You, get out!
What Godzilla vs. Gigan lacks in originality, it makes up for in pure, unadulterated fun. The film has a nice pace, building up to the monsters, and once Gigan and Ghidorah are unleashed, it is non-stop kaiju mayhem. The sequence where the two decimate Tokyo, despite littered with stock footage, is explosively delightful, and when Godzilla and Anguirus finally enter the fray, the four-way battle never stops. The film is simple and focused on delivering what fans at the time wanted, and despite all odds, it does so splendidly in a way that overcomes its cheapness. It should be noted that this film marks the final time the late suit actor Haruo Nakajima would portray Godzilla, and he gives a great final performance, even though the suit is practically in tatters at this point. This is also Ghidorah's final appearance in the Showa series, which was probably a good thing because he looks ready to retire, gray-haired and lacking in the energy of his early years. The only new monster is the titular Gigan, and he makes a great first impression. The over-the-top nature of his design makes him stand out amongst Toho's then ever-growing cast of kaiju. Covered in head-to-toe with blades, he is a convincingly threatening enemy for Godzilla to fight against, making it no surprise he would go on to become a fan favorite. Anguirus makes a much welcomed return, and while he is constantly being beaten on, his never-give-up attitude makes him an incredibly sympathetic sidekick for Godzilla. Their friendship is one of the most enjoyable aspects of the film that the franchise unfortunately never capitalized on again. In many ways, Godzilla vs. Gigan is the quintessential 70s era Godzilla film. Cheap and safe, but able to overcome its deficiencies by being so darn entertaining without resorting to being too ridiculous. The human characters are fun, and their story is well balanced with the monsters. And even though much of the action is composed of stock footage, there are many great new moments that make this fight one of the franchise's best. The film doesn't break any new ground, but it wasn't trying to, and within its limitations, it manages to be a satisfactory entry in the series, chock full of colorful monster action. It's another great introductory film that is sure to delight any children lucky enough to witness it. For more reviews and opinions on all things Godzilla, subscribe and stay tuned to Up From the Depths.